Hello, Oracles. Well, we had another rough day today, and the rough day was due to, again, more of the Russia-Ukraine situation. You know, when you've got fears of the Russians taking over a nuclear power plant over there, it was on fire, lots of different things that were causing the fear. So, saw red in the market today, and then we get the jobs report that came out. And the jobs report, if anybody watches Meet Kevin, he really dives into, some of the news that came out of it. But they adjusted back some of the wage price increases from January, which meant that the report that we had previously about a wage price spiral that could have possibly caused hyperinflation and runaway inflation actually never occurred. They adjusted that price up, so the inflation number was actually higher than the wage rate increase, which means that we are not in a wage rate spiral, and that is a good thing. And then for this month, it looks like the average wages are flat, so we'll get CPI data next week, and we'll find out exactly how that looks. But the CPI, I think, is what's going to cause either, again, the breakout or the breakdown from the bull pennant that we are in. And yes, looking at the charts, we are still in a bull pennant. And so while the inflation is most likely still going to be high next week, we can at least monitor that. And if it's high, that's not fine, but it's at least in line with the wages, so that's not going to cause the wage spiral. And if we go into the inflation, we can then take a look. And I think next month is going to be even worse. Obviously, with the oil prices going up, Brent is way over $100. Historically, when we've been over $100, we see a recession. And we were kind of in a situation where if the wage price spiral got out of control, we were going to have to cause a recession in order to bring it back into line. Well, with it not being out of control, but us looking at barrels of oil over $100, are we still going to go into a recession or not? So we're kind of in an uncertain territory, which obviously the market does not like uncertainty. So that's part of the reason why we were also red today. So I think when we get CPI data next week, that is really what's going to determine whether we break out or break down from this bull pennant. And so we'll probably trade, up and down, but mostly sideways for the rest of next week up until Thursday. And looking at Tesla in particular, as that's the one that we follow the most on here, it really did kind of trade in the middle today. High of 855, low of 825. We're kind of in that 839 range right now. And Slim had pointed out in the comments that 839 was the 200-day moving average, and we closed right at it. So that's kind of a good sign that we were closed right there. And the RSI is still in the low 40s, so that's more on the sold portion. We're not in the oversold area right yet, but we're still in the lower end, so we still have room to climb. And so, we're kind of priming ourselves for some really good moves. And with Tesla in particular, we got the great news today that Berlin is approved. They have their permit, and it looks like, I think I saw Omar at Holmar's catalog had mentioned that March 19th, it looks like it's going to be the official production start day for Berlin. Again, I believe it's coming. I know it's coming. I am positive. I am optimistic on this. But because we've had so many, little hiccups along the way, I'm going to believe it when I see it and that first customer takes their delivery, which I believe they're probably going to end up having on March 22nd and 23rd at their grand opening. They'll probably have their first vehicles that they're giving away there. And looking at the rest of the market, most of my portfolio kind of traded sideways, slightly red on the day. Nothing huge. It wasn't like a huge, ugly red day. It was just red. So hence the shirt. I'm trying to match my shirts with the color of the market to see how that goes. So, so it was more sideways, more of just uncertain. Probably a typical Friday. Volume was around normal, on the lower end of normal. So nothing super exciting, kind of a meh day for the most part. And a bunch of the high growth, non-profitable plays did take a bit of a hit today. So I did add a little bit more. I was going to add more to SQ, to Square, Block, whatever you want to call it. But I chose not to, and I'm glad I didn't because I was going to add, and then I ended up dropping another $5. So I held off on that one there, but I added a little bit more to MP Materials, added to Google, added to NVIDIA. I actually added quite a bit to my son's portfolio today. I decided that a lot of stuff had taken quite a beating, so I added Tesla to his, and I started adding a little cryptocurrency to his. Seeing as what's going on in the whole macro environment, Russia having so many issues right now because of what's going on. The ruble has lost so much of its value. And a lot of people around the world seeing how, with us with inflation, the ruble getting beat up, I have a feeling that we're at a place where a lot of more people are going to be getting into cryptocurrency. I hear it from my friends, looking at a lot of different places like Market America, taking cryptocurrency as forms of payment. So I really believe that over the next decade, we're going to go there. So I added some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge to my son's portfolio. Just a little bit, $5 of each, just to see how they're going to do, just to tack it on there. And I'll probably add a little bit here and there as well for him. And I do truly believe that some of these stocks that are getting really beat up, those high growth stocks, are going to do well in the future. But you have to pay attention, because if these stocks do not survive, these companies don't survive what we're going through, obviously it's going to be no good. So it is very high risk, very high reward for a lot of these companies. Because if you do invest now, there's a chance that they may not even come out of this. But if they do come out, it'll do well. But I think we've got a lot of time. So if you are, on the higher risk of the spectrum for trading, you can dabble in them right now. I don't think we're going to see any runners. I dabbled in MULN just because it was super cheap. I think it could be a potential spike play with a short squeeze, but I put very little money into it as a gamble, and it's really just a gamble play for me right now. Otherwise, I'm really staying away from the high growth, high risk stuff. Those things there will be something to get into, maybe like at the end of the year, once we really start to see inflation is back in line, a lot more certainty in the market, perhaps past the elections, Russia, Ukraine has settled down. That would be the time to really start taking a look at the high growth stocks and say, where are they at? Right now, what I'm investing in more heavily are the solid plays, the Apples, Teslas, Nvidias, Googles, things like that we know are going to be top players coming out of this. So when you look at the fundamentals of these companies and trying to decide which ones to get into, which ones are growing their businesses on a fundamental level? Who took all of these gains that they made over the last 2 years and are reinvesting it into their companies to grow them on a fundamental basis, so that when we do come out of this, they'll be able to grow even faster because they grew and built a stronger foundation for themselves. And obviously Tesla is my number one play in that manner, building 2 factories this year. They're adding so many jobs, and they're going to be building this company coming out of this high inflation, uncertain time to be able to build off of this. So when we get into a time where we don't have uncertainty weighing the macro environment down, the company and the stock will really be able to flourish. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about how the week traded, anything you added to today, and let me know any questions you may have for Vinny and myself. Vinny from Investment Club and I will be doing a joint video over the weekend to discuss a bunch of different topics. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you would like us to discuss. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.